Good morning, Philippines! Hey, I didn't max out the audio this time. Yes, welcome back to Lower Deck Season 3, Episode 9, Trusted Sources Live Review. A day late today because I was sick. And I still got a bit of a lingering cough. Hopefully, it's not a big deal. I mean, I did do the intro fine without a cough. But yes, a bit different today for a few reasons. One is for the first time ever, I haven't just finished the episode. I finished the episode like half an hour ago, so I could sit down and organize my thoughts. Because I figured, basically, these reviews often were a lot of me thinking, oh my gosh, I have so much to say, getting here, then a lot of ahs as I try and think of what I want to say, and then I end the stream and spend the rest of the day thinking about all the things that I really wanted to bring up and absolutely forgot about. So today, we're hopefully not going to do that because I've got notes. But there we go, first cough. I'm going to get right into it because the longer I talk, I think the more I'm going to cough, and I really want to cover some points. Because this was an exceptional episode. Let's put some credits on screen for credit the people who wrote this exceptional episode. I started off a bit worried when they were like, the reporters come here, it's like, oh, we gotta rearrange some duty shifts, like look good for the reporter. I was afraid that it was sounding like it was just gonna be Temporal Edict again. The Boimler effect episode, the one where everyone's on a clock. They got to do their tasks quickly enough. And I was especially concerned after the sequel to Crisis Point, which didn't turn out being quite that, but you could argue definitely was kind of Crisis Point again. If they then had kind of like a Temporal Edict, but again kind of episode, I didn't see what new we would get out of it. Boy, was I wrong, because that episode had so much more. That was an exceptional episode of everything they did was exceptional. We're going to go vaguely chronologically here. And I want to start by saying that I think they picked a good species to revisit, or rather culture. Oh, that's a depressing picture to stop on. But yeah, I'm not going to remember their names. But the drug addiction episode, no, yeah, that was a great one to stop by on. I loved, that they kind of they were just happy, the culture worked out. There were 10 to 15 years that we just kind of scooched past and we're like, oh, hunky-dory, let's not use that as proof that we should have revisited them a decade earlier, and maybe they could have avoided all that horrific stuff. But I did it kind of, I like how they resolved it. I do wish we got more of the other species that if I actually rewind a bit, I'm going to get to see their name, if I'm lucky. There we go. The Anarans, I liked how they did that. The Bacchus, Felicium, come on. There we go. The Breccians, that's right. The Breccians, I wish we got to see a bit more of, like, what was going on. What's happening? Was the destruction because of the Breen or because of the collapse of society when they couldn't sell the drug anymore? But I understand, given what they chose to focus on, why they didn't focus on these Breccians. And honestly, the next note I have, that's just a fun little aside. That was a great choice. Everything else is about where we're going to find this news reveal. Here we go. Back 10 seconds, forward 10 seconds. There we go. Oh my god, she's got like a classic old-timey mic. Everything about this was great. I'm gonna start here at the reveal, so actually we're not gonna go chronologically. The way they revealed this was great. The way it was done for the news, both for us and the characters in the show. This I think, you might be able to point up something old I'm forgetting, but at least major wise, I'm pretty sure overall, this is the first time I think we've really seen Mariner truly open up. Like, this was a full on, hard on the sleeve Mariner. There's not even a hint of her little, like, snarky, sarcastic comments or, like, her general attitude. Where, in the past, she's been, like, she's been supportive, she's given compliments, she's been there. She's kind of said her feelings, but she's always had to do at the end, like, I don't know, if she's complimenting Boimler, it'd be like, great, you did a great job today, and he'd be like, really? He's like, well, for you, for a newbie or something. He's like, I would have done better, that's the sort of thing Mariner would have said, but in this, there's none of that. And it's why I think it was the first time she's truly opened up. Which is important here for many reasons. Like, sorry about that. Let me get a drink to quell the coughs before my next point. I think going into this from, like, when she went to her mother's desk, I think most people would know that things aren't exactly as they seem. It's not our first rodeo, it's not our first show, and particularly the scene with Jennifer, it had me thinking, like, there's probably something that's not quite as it seems. Like, I didn't think she went to the reporter and just badmouthed the Cerritos. I think most people wouldn't have thought that. Like, she went with the intention to badmouth Freeman and the Cerritos. I was thinking maybe she just basically told about the adventures they've having. Basically, she described the episodes that we watched. And so you can take that to look in a bad light, but, she provided the context that as if the reporter were a viewer of the episode, right? Like, sure, you could take it as a very poorly run ship or something, but because of these sci-fi adventures of the week, but the reporter's kind of spinning it into a story. Like, she generally made a mistake, but also wasn't nearly as bad as the reporter thought. That's kind of where I thought they might have been going. I personally, and I think generally as an audience, this would be true for most people, I never even suspected, I never doubted that Mariner was the one who mentioned these things. That if Mariner had not given an interview, the reporter wouldn't know about the puppet and the big head and Quark and all that. Thinking about it, the whole Quark thing probably should have... I can see why it wasn't news, but it probably should have been, like, major news anyway. But you see what I mean. And I never for a second thought that anyone else on the ship would have brought up those points, the things that the reporter was spinning negatively to go, hey, look how awful the Cerritos is, look how bad of a captain you are, and that sort of thing. Like, what I see with Mariner is as we watched at the start of this episode, she was so frustrated at not being allowed to take part, at all the things that are being taken away from her, like the bar, the pie eating contest and stuff, when she knows, like, hey, I just want to talk about the Cerritos, like, I'm not gonna sabotage us or anything. And yeah, the mother was probably being, no, they were being unreasonable, like, even not knowing the ending of this episode, like, she's being unreasonable, not as unreasonable as we now know she was being, but she was so frustrated by not being able to talk about the Cerritos and all the good things she had to say, that for the first time in probably her life, she decided to truly tell it like it was. She got so frustrated that she was like, no, I'm gonna go, and I'm actually gonna say, like, from the heart, what I mean, just me and the reporter, and add to the story because I really want my voice heard, and I'm actually gonna tell it like it is. And it's just the interview she gave is herself directly opening up about the past 3 seasons of development that we've seen her have. Just talking about her found family with Boimler, Rutherford, Tendi, and the greater Jennifer, the greater Cerritos crew, and also the relationship with her mother that has been growing. I mean, it's a lot better than it was before. It's a lot healthier. It's a lot more loving. And she's gone in to do this, a rather reserved person, and opened up truly for the first time. And what happens is she is rejected by it. Like, totally by everyone she just said these good things about. Jennifer rejected her and is, from Mariner's perspective, it's like she did go say all these loving things, and she's like, Jennifer, you know me better than this. Like, I wouldn't go and sabotage the crew. And Jennifer's just like, her girlfriend is like, no, I don't know you better. Even the other main cast don't fully believe her. Like, they're supportive, they want her to stay, but they're like, well, can you at least apologize for what the captain thinks you did? Like, they don't even believe that Mariner is not the reason that things are now bad with the reporter. Like, regardless of intention, they don't believe that she's not responsible for what's happened. They think it's an accident, but from what Mariner said and knows, she's just being rejected for it. And just kind of, for her, sorry about that, and my dog is eating a pencil. Comment, don't eat pencils. For Mariner, what it is basically is a realization that everything she said in this interview, everything she believed, she thought about her life, her relationships, her love interest, her friends, her family, was wrong. That actually, this isn't where she belongs. They don't see Mariner for who she is, which is true. They're not seeing Mariner for exactly who she is. They're misjudging her. They're seeing her as, I don't know, incapable, useless, combatatory, a lot of the things, aside maybe useless, that she actually was at the start of the show. A lot of her negative traits. And for everyone else in the show, it's a slap in the face. It's a gut punch that they were pushing Mariner away and just pushing her out of their life. As she was coming out into the world, like just as she was coming out into the world and showing her true self, for the audience, it's the same. Because we also know about this development. We've seen it. We've seen everything about Mariner. The show is about Mariner. And if you don't believe me on that, like, yes, it's an ensemble cast, but from what I hear, the behind-the-scene things from McMahon, the writers and stuff, this is a show about Mariner. Heavily populated by a supporting cast, but Mariner is the focal point of the show. But we've seen this development. We kind of know Mariner is at this point, which is where her closest friends would be. Ransom knows. We've seen Ransom in this season. It was like, wow, Mariner, you've been amazing. You've really turned around. You don't have like a single citation. I don't remember exactly what episode it is, but Ransom's like, Mariner, you're an amazing officer. You're a good person. You're really fitting in the ship. Like, we all know that this Mariner right here from this scene is Mariner. It's some level. But I doubt anyone has really thought about it real hard, really thought about that. And I think as an audience, we've also, and as an individual audience members, we've also had a misrepresentation of her in our mind. I want to circle back, because this show is just so incredibly well written and planned out, to the Tindy episode. We had the Deep Space Nine episode, sorry. I just remembered which one it was. That was all about having expectations forced upon you by others. In that context, it was of a minority. But the same sort of thing applies here in a much more individual level, where not only are people forcing the expectations on Mariner that, like, yes, she's gonna be Starky, she's gonna be, I hate to say it, but Mariner. She's gonna be that kind of casual, laid back, doesn't care too much about the regulation stuff kind of person. And because of that, Mariner is forcing those expectations on herself and putting them on herself. She's behaving like that, even when as a person she's grown beyond it, where it's inappropriate. She's always going to be laid back, chill. That's just more her style. But she truly does care. Like, she knows when things matter, and she does care about that. The Starfleet values, the people, the mission. But it's just, this is the first time we've kind of had Mariner without those expectations forced on her. I think because, it's the reporter, she has no expectations. This is just Mariner on her own with the reporter. And also the frustration that she's like, no, I'm gonna say it like it is. the frustration with not being included. And I'm gonna have to have a drink or cough really badly. You're welcome. I spared you that cough. But no, it's... I have to read this note. I've been so good at just speaking while reading my notes. That's why I have to even deeper with the other crew members. Yeah, that everything I've just said, it runs even deeper when you realize that the other crew members didn't realize that what made the Cerritos look bad was themselves. I know they're not seeing it in the aggregate, of all these compilations of what everyone else has said, but especially Ransom, who I don't remember exactly which one he talked about, which one of the bullet points that they went through on the, what, let me have a listen. Let's actually find the clip real quick, and then let's have a listen to what Ransom did have to say. And I can't talk while I hear that. I'm just finding the clip. You've got the Trill lady, who I love because she's a Trill, and I guess that's racist. You've got Kayshawn, who speaks English, and I found that really weird in this scene. You've got Shax, and I'm starting to think I may have planted a memory in my head. Am I wrong? No, I'm wrong. Oh well. Yeah. Let's just get everything set up again. Like, Ransom knows what he said. I swear there's a bit, maybe I'm misremembering, like, maybe it was when they were actually giving their interviews, I think, he mentioned his thing, but Ransom's in the room where, Freeman's probably told him everything the reporter said, that if he didn't realize that he did bad, there we go. What does Ransom say? Let's take a quick look. I know you can't hear this, but I'm just getting us up to Ransom. Actually, I probably shouldn't stream the visuals for that long. Here we go. And I'll let you hear it as well.
Oh, Victoria, something about you really makes me open.
Okay, no. Actually, I guess this is probably, this is why Ransom didn't realize, because, God, this show's so clever. He was just flirting on the reporter the whole time. So, I'll scrap this bit I was going to say about Ransom, we should have realized, but everyone else didn't even, consider that something they said might have contributed. They just went, oh, it's Mariner. Because it's Mariner. That was the sole reason. Because it's Mariner, they screwed up. That was the argument. And, I mean, when you actually got to the thing, the newscast, I was just like, oh, wow, because the realization, and then just you can kind of see where it's going. I think maybe like, yeah, well, it wasn't Mariner, but then just like the sole voice of positivity. I just went, wow, like hearing. Oh, I guess that was a clip. Hearing Mariner, just everything I've said, just open up, heart on the sleeve. I mean, it's almost like I was thinking I love Lower Decks, but how can this show have 7 seasons? Because I feel like by the end of season 4, we're gonna have an amazing arc that should just be done. We'd be like, right, you finished your arc, now goodbye. I loved you. Yeah, that's my cough going on. But God, I've said it before. Lower Decks writing is amazing. The staff is amazing. But this was a standout episode among standout episodes. This was exceptional. It felt like a moment the series was building to, and we're not even at the finale yet. Which, by the way, is definitely being reviewed before Prodigy now, because I think we're all a lot more invested in that than Prodigy setting up its next 10 episodes. I love Prodigy, but Lower Decks gets me wanting more. Let's go by our scene by scene now, because I know there are some points I wanted to bring up generically. And one thing I realized kind of in the opening credits, what is this meeting? Like, I kind of get they need to be called before heading to their little swing by project. Like, they don't know they're heading to those 2 planets, by the way. But did Freeman call up First Officer, which I get, Chief of Security, which I can get to a slightly lesser extent, and the Chief Medical Officer? Hey, the Admiral wants to call us. I need you. Not the whole senior staff, mind you. Actually, hang on. Is this the whole senior staff? Keishan's missing. Am I just now... That's not normal, right? No. The senior staff in the Cerritos is really small. Wow. Yeah, because I guess you have, like, Data is on the comms, and, like, Troy's on the bridge. She's not even... Is she senior staff? Oh, yeah, no, Miggly Moo. Miggly Moo's senior staff in this. But yeah, it just, like, I don't know. It did feel like a bit, as I've just praised the writing quality, like the people someone in the movie asks where they're going after they've been on the road for 3 hours, and it's like 5 minutes before their destination, just for the nice transitional shot. But that was my minor little fun. Not even a nitpick, really. Just like that was weird. I did wish when they said Picard met them, right? I'm like, look, Lower Decks, I love you, but I'm gonna need a bit more information on exactly which species these people are. And so I did like the little presentation. Both as the fan, like, I did not need this to go, oh yeah, those people. I think I had it at like 2 planets. I was like, oh, it's these people. But if you're new, which a lot of people are, and a lot of people just aren't gonna remember every episode of TNG. Like, my partner is not gonna remember the episodes, like, well before this point. They're gonna forget this episode. So it was a good, like, yeah, here's everything you need to know about this species, this situation we're going into. Bye. It did work well. And it wasn't too intrusive exposition. Like, it flew pretty well. I quite liked the... Oh, wow, like, that was it? Picard just left? Jeez. Next question. God, it's another little nitpick. I've just realized, actually, I think all my, my scene-by-scene thoughts I had are little nitpicks. Why is Mariner covered in blueberry filling? Because the pie-eating contest is in the future. They replicate the pies. What was she doing? Was she eating a load of pies in preparation for the pie-eating contest later today? I don't... Look, they put all their focus on the writing on this part of the episode. You can't see my mouse. Oh, you can see my mouse. On this part of the episode. And then they just forgot everything else. that big mute is a sign that this stream is not going to go on very longer. That coughing fit. So I'm just going to skim by. We'll just see. I don't think there's much in the middle I really wanted to talk about. I'd love to compare. This is a great one to watch knowing what happened. I might watch this soon again, rewatch it. Like, seeing these interviews that we later see. I don't think they're the same scenes, but, you know, we saw all these lovely thoughts. So I guess what I said before about having the doubts about who's to blame for the bad reporting, they did do a great job naturally setting up you to not go, oh, it was everyone else. But I still will I will defend that our preconceptions, you know, about Mariner, those expectations, everything, are definitely a big part of this episode. And what we as an audience thought, it's definitely, you know, what the characters thought, why they were thinking that. But I think the audience and the actual characters are in a very similar boat here with what they're thinking. I did like this mural. There's a lot of different... can I stream this? My mouse can't cover that. No, there's a kind of a lot of different art styles. I like, they got a good picture of the Enterprise. Don't know how they got that. But no, I quite liked, not really my style, but I think the little panicky face was really well done. Moving, oh yeah, I did find it weird though, like, they didn't hail anyone, they just kind of beamed down into presumably the largest city, and like, the local leader just happened to be nearby. It was like, oh hey, Starfleet, your uniforms have changed since the last time I've seen you. I guess they still got the badges, but it's like, no one told me you were coming, apparently, because they didn't know what they were gonna find when they landed on the planet. There's something for the reporter to comment on. And then they didn't do it again, going to the other planet, and they would have found that there were Breen there, and also that no one answered their hails. But let's scooch along. I kind of like that the Admiralty, because I don't know if it's a blood relation between this Admiral and Freeman, or some sort of, like, well, found family. But, I like that they both wanted this project to succeed. And be like, oh, hey, this is, you know, important. Because it really is. Like, look at this section of the mural. It was weird Kayshawn didn't really speak in metaphors this episode. I agree, Logan. Welcome to the stream. Congratulations on being the first ever live stream comment. I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but yeah, I thought at first maybe it was like a universal translator thing because it was a news recording. It was translating Kayshawn, but then he did speak in metaphors, just not all the time. And it makes sense that he would know English and stuff. Like, it makes sense he would know how to speak in both his native language and another one. No problem, Logan. But it felt weird because it's never happened before. It was sort of that. Like, it makes sense, but it's weird this is the first time. It's actually like how I started speaking. This is pretty common amongst autistic people, but as a baby, I kind of started learning to speak, you know, as a baby did. And then I regressed more to, like, not speaking unless I absolutely had to, and even then, it was a bit of a regression, kind of baby noises. And then one day... And this is the exact sentence, because my mom will never forget it. I went up to my mom, you know, having gone from, like, basically goo goo gaga, and I said, Mom, we are out of apple juice. Can you please go to Target to buy some more? Like, not just the store, specifically Target to go buy apple juice. That's the experience I got in this. Like, whoa, Kayshawn knows language? But yeah, fun episode. It was fun. A lot of what I've been talking about is more like how well written it was. If you like my reviews, I recognize your name. I definitely go and watch the video once this is done of like the earlier sections where a lot of the meat of this one is. But no, this was. I'd have to look at the episode list. Actually, let me pull it up now. But I think this may be my favorite episode of the season. All right, I can't pull it up now, but no, this is definitely a highlight. If not, well, this is the favorite of the season, probably. If not, like the show, this is up there. Going through, finishing off our scene by scene. Yeah, just little details. I liked, Freeman. Yes, I forgot her name for a second. Just kind of presenting herself for the reporter. She did it so much, actually. I didn't expect it to be the reporter who walked in. I expected it to be Mariner, strutting like. Well, again, this is the preconceptions I was talking about. Strutting herself like, hey, I just ruined your interview, Freeman. Federation News Network. Yes, gotta love it. I actually didn't really like it in Picard. I thought it felt. The news scene was great, but I thought the reporter was a bit of like a. It felt too modern, like really getting at the story. Kind of like internet clickbaity, get a clickbaity thumbnail title, stir up something viral. This Federation News Network was not that. Not that at all. I can definitely see where you'd get the story about the Cerritos and stuff. I think the Breen incursion probably should have been mentioned, but maybe that was a different part of the episode. Sorry, the broadcast. We just saw the bit about this crazy ship that's like the new Starbase 80. I mean, if there was a military ship, like an aircraft carrier or something, that had these less sci-fi, but these kind of shenanigans, that would make the news, like, unquestionably. Couldn't stand it in Picard either. So you think here, Logan 1, that I think the comments get archived for people watching this back, but you couldn't stand it in Picard, but here it feels much more mocking and satirical, which you like. Yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't have described it as mocking and satirical, but I can definitely see an element of like, almost like the Federation News Network exists. We know this. We're gonna add some like moderny elements. Yeah, it is that kind of slightly satirical, but not overdoing it. It's still very much a news network that fits in that classic, utopian TNG style Federation. But still, yes, I think it probably has just the right amount of like mocking and satirical. And then I know there's one more thing I remember I wanted to touch on. I can't remember if there's anything else in between in my little scene by scene. Hey, look, did they get real good at reflections in the Rutherford episode? And we're like, put those everywhere. We can do that now. It's easy. Yeah, I went over the Jennifer scene already in my big little walkthrough. Oh yeah, I wanted just a brief PSA, which I think most people know, especially if they're gonna do an eating contest. If you're going into some sort of pie eating contest, probably don't dislocate your jaw, which is bad. But also, don't starve yourself. That's like the worst thing you can do to prepare for an eating contest. Um, yeah, don't do that. All right, I'm amazed my cough has been as well behaved as it is, honestly. Here's one. I thought when we got to this scene that it wasn't Mariner who said all the bad things about the news. It was these guys, who were just like, I don't know, some incompetent part of the Cerritos shuttle maintenance. I didn't realize they were Starbase 80. I have just realized there is literally an 80 on the shuttlecraft. But in my defense, I own one of these shuttles. I think it's packed away. And I think it doesn't say Enterprise where it says 80. I think that's the shuttle number. But no, I kind of like the Starbase 80 people. There's definitely, I think even in a Utopian Federation, room for that, like, once it gets the reputation, you send all the bad people there, and it's just a pretty mismanaged, grimy kind of starship, space station. Weirdly enough, I actually got vibes of when I worked at a McDonald's in a lot of parts of this episode. We were not the Starbase 80 of McDonald's, but there was definitely like the people who cared. I was gonna make this analogy, but I decided not to when I was talking about Mariner, where I feel like a lot in that McDonald's world. I was like Mariner, where we were a slow McDonald's. The corporate guidelines were generally for a way busier McDonald's. So there were a lot of things that, like, this is the rule, but, like, screw that because it's an awful way to run this specific restaurant. But then there's the important ones. Like, there are some rules and guidelines from the McDonald's that are actually, like, yeah, no, that's important. You got to do that. And then there's, like, the healthcare, the health regulations, like state, federal laws. You don't touch those because those are there for a reason. You follow those to a T. And, I feel that's Mariner's characterization a lot. We're like, she's fun, she has fun, she, like, plays fast and loose with the rules that don't matter. The procedury ones that, like, it'd be better if we didn't do this, and there's literally no reason not to do it. But then she also knows, like, when things are serious and you gotta buckle down, she knows the ones you can't really play with. Like, I don't think Mariner would really skip a lot of safety procedures and like just general ship maintenance or something if there wasn't a reason to. She'd probably do that. And then there'd be some real critical stuff, like, I don't know, but violating the prime directive or whatever, that are like the health codes where, like, you don't touch those. Like, no, this is actually, there's a reason for these and it's a good reason, and I'm not gonna screw around when it comes to those. And even at McDonald's, you get a lot of people like these who health codes more like health suggestions. So I can see there definitely would be a starbase full of people like that. And if what I've just said has sworn you off of made you scared of fast foods and whatnot, that's probably, you should be. You really should be, as my takeaway from working at fast food. Just takes one in the chain, and what if that one person is the dishwasher, who doesn't take the rules seriously? Moving on from McDonald's. That's not a commentary on McDonald's. That's going to happen everywhere. Not that McDonald's would come after me for this, but I do want to clarify. That's just like fast food in general. I did like the joke with Miggly Moo. And like his mom, I think this is later. Then it paid off again when she came back, and he's like, well, Mrs. Miggly Moo, what, she had a name, I don't remember, like Mima or whatever. And I just loved this. Oh, mother, dude, you should not be calling me at work. As if he was just sitting there the whole time, not realizing his mother was on the screen. I do like Miggly Moo as a character. He's fun to see around. Weirdly, it's weird having a comic relief character in a comedy, but it does kind of feel like that, I think. Moving forward, I've just realized, is this planet all purple because it was, I guess, purple in TNG, or at least in the picture they had, so like sky's purple, lights purple, buildings purple. I did know, I'll say this, I did know that the Breen were in this episode before going in. I then proceeded to forget that until the Breen showed up in this episode, which was kind of nice. But yeah, the Breen, the race who you probably forgot about, unless you've seen Deep Space Nine a few times or are currently watching Deep Space Nine. Yeah. I like this, actually. No, this was something I was going to say when I learned the Breen were in there. This is something I liked about TNG, where it's an exploration vessel. They're never in the same spot at one time, but they generally don't. I don't think they ever teleport from, like, we're near Romulus, now suddenly we're by the Cardassians. If you kind of pay attention when you watch TNG, they move around. Like, early TNG spends a lot of time around the Romulan Federation border, which, there are maps now. Back in the day there wasn't. But I think generally it's like Romulans up here, Klingons down here, Cardassians somewhere here-ish, broadly speaking. And so the Enterprise starts around by the Romulans. I think they move down closer to the Klingons or around both. And then later on, they end up closer to the Cardassian space in Deep Space Nine. So I don't know how intentional this was. It was probably honestly more like, as the series went on, they kind of made new villains to focus on or transition their focus. But I really do get a sense, kind of knowing what the galaxy is like, that the Enterprise slowly moved around in its run. And I love in this that they were just at Deep Space Nine. And that was, like 2 episodes ago. And now the Breen are showing up. Because the Breen, vaguely, again, the Star Trek map is a exercise in vaguelies. Vaguely, the Breen live by the Cardassians. So it makes sense if they were gonna go into Federation space or around it, that the Cerritos was just by Deep Space Nine. If the Romulans showed up, that might be a little stranger. You might not question it, but the Breen showing up, it really fits much nicer. That being said, I got a fault lower decks. Oh well. No, it is this scene. I do have to fault lower decks on canon. I know, I've never done this before. Ignore the not my Enterprise. Was that Prodigy? No, that was lower decks. The Breen don't take prisoners? This was something I was gonna look up before the stream started. I'm gonna double check myself here. But wasn't, oh god, I forgot her name. Ducat's daughter. Didn't they find her in a Breen, prison camp? Star Trek. What's her name? Oh my god. Logan, are you still here? Zial. There it is. Zial. Is that how you spell Zial? Oh my. I'm pretty sure they found Zial in a Breen prison camp, and that was the introduction of the Breen. Let me just search for Breen. Yeah. Was killed, where's Zial, and the other survivors were captured and forced to labor in a nearby Breen dilithium mine. Come on, Lower Decks. There's only so much we know about the Breen. That felt weird coming from Lower Decks. And, surely Shax would know. Is a Bajoran, pretty close to Breen space? It's not like it's some power. It's not like the Dominion or something that he might have... Well, that's not a good example. I don't know. There's not a good example of a far-off power. The Borg you'd know about. But it's kind of like the general neighborhood of Shax. It did feel a bit weird of a comment. At least they got Breen warships are crazy powerful. I did like that. I like the Breen appear to have some new mega weapon. I'd love to get a new shot of a Texas-class vessel. Anyone? I'll play a little bit. Actually, it kind of looks like a bird of prey. Romulan bird of prey from that angle. Oh, God, come on. Oh, that was good. Can I go back a frame, Paramount Plus? I can't. Alright, I'll give it one more go. Because I know this isn't the most engaging content. Come on. Yeah, let's go with that one. Is this what you were expecting? Wait, NA? Experimental but automation? NA01? I'll take that. Texas class. I thought it might have been like a temporal warship. I like that the conspiracy guy mentioned the Temporal Cold War. I was kind of wondering, I'll admit vaguely fearfully, if Lower Decks was going to do some Temporal Cold War thing. That Mariner didn't actually leak the bad information. It was some future thing trying to prevent the Cerritos or Mariner from becoming a captain, whatever, I don't know. Apparently I theorize a lot as these episodes go on. But, vaguely reminds me of, is it the Sarajevo? An Enterprise design. I think it's the colony ship that brought people to Terra Nova. I think. It vaguely reminds me of that, but like also Enterprise E, Captain Yacht esque nacelle struts. Um, Makes more sense as an automation ship. I'm not a huge fan of the concept. I mean, we're farther in the timeline. We can do what we want. I guess it's harder to acknowledge that we wouldn't have something like this, especially after the Prometheus, which was pretty automated. You've got the Doctor, EMHs, ETHs now, I guess. Yeah, I'd give them that. Uh, I don't know. It's a pretty good one. It's not a favorite. It's harder right now. I'm not gonna get Eagle Moss models of these things. I can't reserve judgment. Actually, the more I look at it, the more I kind of like it. It's a lot bigger than I think it is in my head. I will say that. But no, I quite like that. Yeah, I haven't been a fan of a lot of the designs of around this era, like the Lower Decks Picard. Yeah, I haven't been a huge fan of a lot of the new designs. Lower Decks is definitely better, but this is definitely one of the better ones from this roughly 25th century era. Now I'm thinking of more. Like I like the Protostar. Yeah, no, this is a good one. I liked as well. Again, people always complain when Starfleet security is bad. You just have the Admiral who is like, now I am fully ready to declassify everything about this brand new. Try and tell me it's anything but a tactical combat vessel. Like, anything you want to know, I will now tell you. Like, I don't know. There's probably something she could ask he wouldn't tell her, but also, you don't pretend this is anything but like a military asset, Starfleet. You're allowed to say that now. But no, let's see. Again, that was just a funny thing. Wait, does she have like a CBS logo for the Federation News Network? Like, it's not, but it's also not the CBS eye. If you don't know it, if you don't know it, it's this, but it has a pupil. This is the CBS logo. Yeah. Where is she? Well, I guess the Federation News Network doesn't have to have everything around Earth. God, one of the best scenes in Star Trek. It's just hot. I don't know if that's a hot take because I say one of, but dang, this was such a good episode. This was an amazing episode. And yeah, we get what I think. Obviously, there's only one episode left. This wasn't gonna have the Indiana Jones stuff in it, and again, kind of ruined a bit of the. I knew that some way or another, because of this interview, Mariner was gonna end up doing Indiana Jones stuff next episode, because of the trailer. I was gonna make a point after this, but God, I hope I can remember it. Nope. God, right there. It's right there, Nathan. Ah. I'll end the stream and I'll be like, God dang it! I was like, there's not even any time I can wait after this to think about it. But yeah. I don't even know what they're gonna do for episode 10. Like, and even then, like, what are you gonna do for season 4? I guess we got some Rutherford stuff. I wonder if I was gonna say, it almost feels like after season 3, your story's done. Just series end. Like, it's short, but it told the story it wanted. It's amazing. That's how you do a 3-season arc. But I wonder if we're actually gonna transition away from Mariner, and start focusing on Rutherford or perhaps something else like Section 31. We're just transitioning. Like, Mariner's story's done. It feels like that. Like, where can you go more from here? It's the only time I think I've seen a show and gone, you know what, your story's done. Just, I love it. like, God, I would have loved more stories of this style, these writers, this level of quality, this universe, these characters, but you're done. So leave. But Lower Decks does have plot lines to pull. It's definitely not over yet. But Mariner's story, um, if they have more places to take it, I'd be amazed. I'm very engaged to watch them, but this has just been fantastic. It's real. I think I made a Reddit post once in early Lower Decks, like season 1. Lower Decks will never be my favorite Star Trek, but I think it'll be the one I will watch the most. Because it was like a good comfort comedy. You could go through it quickly because at the time it was short, and being half hour, like maybe Prodigy's gonna be shorter, but you can blitz when Lower Decks is all said and done. You'll still probably be able to go through it in like a few days if you really wanted, like a week, if you really wanted a season a day. Yeah, my point is it wouldn't take too long. But Lower Decks may become my favorite Star Trek. It's incredible. It really is. I've said a lot in the beginning already. Logan 1, I don't know if you're still here anymore. I did tell you to go back and watch the start of the live stream after this, but thanks for the chats. Good having someone to speak to. But I think I'll wrap it up there, and yeah, next week, I'll see you Thursday. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Is that my out? Do I have special outros for live streams? I don't remember, but now I've got to find the stop stream button on YouTube.